The first thing I thought when I saw this Spyderco Ulize knife online months back was it looks like a knife I designed, and I was really excited by that. And then I thought something else. The next thing I thought was it really is reminiscent of a Filipino knife. The angle of the handle to the blade, the recurve, the sinuous plan form, the pointiness yet the slashiness of it just looks like a Filipino blade, and it really excited me. And then the third thing I thought was I must have this knife. I must own it at some point as soon as I could afford it. And as you can see, I eventually got it, and it is mine, and I love it. It is a beautiful knife. Needless to say, it is a Spyderco, so it is an amazing quality knife. And it is just, to me, just so beautiful. It just, the curves, the lines, you look at this knife and it seems purpose-built for one thing, and that's fighting or defending your life. Spyderco bills it as a sort of general utility knife that would be very handy for police, and I think they're very gentle in their descriptions of their of the purpose of their knives. Oftentimes, you'll see a knife like this, and to me, it just seems so obviously not a utility knife. Given the recurve blade, recurve in utility is more for bigger chopper knives. So given the recurve, given the hollow grind, which is great for slashing, given the slender profile, which would be great for sticking through ribs or, other gruesome tasks like that. And then the handle, the way it has an almost pistol grip style handle. That angle of the handle to the blade really facilitates a more natural hand posture, wrist hand posture when thrusting. You don't have to torque your hand downward as much. And then it accelerates any sort of cutting or slashing due to the angle forward. So to me, this is purpose-built. This is a purpose-driven knife, but that's not utility. Yes, you could use it as a utility knife. You could cut zip ties with it. You could open boxes and string and cut a sandwich in half with it. But you could find better knives for those purposes. This, to me, is a wonderful little. Well, it's not so little, but it's slender. It's a wonderful knife to stash on your body, to pull out in only grave circumstances. Say you have to reach a man's subclavicle artery or get his axillary artery or something like that. This would probably be a good knife, given the fact that it has a 4.1-inch blade. The steel is VG10. It's got a cutting edge of 3.9 inches. As you can see, it's hollow ground. It's got that beautiful recurve blade, just a beautiful blade. The handle is G10. It's moderately textured G10, and it gives just enough grip. But as you can see, it's ergonomically designed to facilitate a nice grip with this with these finger choils and this finger choil here, and then this indentation and then palm swell here. Even the clip aids in gripping the knife. It's got a 4-position pocket clip, up, down, left, right, and it's got stainless steel liners that you can see are milled out to make it an even lighter knife. It is a very light knife. It's hard to see because it's a closed construction knife. There you go. I think you can see the milling in there. The fit and finish is fantastic. You've got these sort of beveled edges, and then you can't really feel where these different layers are. You've got the steel, you've got the G10, you got the steel liners, you got the steel backspacer, you got the back lock, which is quite strong, and you can't really feel where any of those begin or end. So it's a really nice, nicely designed knife. It's very slender. I don't have the dimensions of its thickness. But I wear this inside my waistband, just in case. I always have another sort of EDC or utility knife on me. But this one lately has been my just in case I get in a knife fight knife, which never happens, of course. You've got a 12 millimeter opening hole, which is sort of their standard. It's not, it doesn't follow the trend of some of their other knives with the larger 14 millimeter opening hole like the paramilitary, which might be a little easier to open with gloves. But given the slender design and just the sleekness of it, I think the 12 millimeter opening hole is more than adequate. I just gotta wipe off my fingerprints there. It's 9.5 inches long when it's open. It's 5.5 inches closed, and just like I said, it's very, very thin. And to me, that means it's not a knife that you're going to be using a lot. It's not like a utility knife that really fills your hand. And I have medium-sized hands. Maybe sometimes they veer towards the small when buying gloves, and it's almost too thin for me. It would definitely be too thin if I were trying to do something, any sort of rigorous work with it. It might turn in your hand and such. But for a knife that you stash on your person all the time to pull out only in grave situations, it is ideal. It's perfect. You forget it's there. It's light. Let's see, how much does it weigh? It's 4.8 ounces, which isn't super light, but it's it's light enough. Light enough for me, anyway. It's got that wonderful VG10 steel that I've been finding recently. I'm somewhat new to Spyderco. I've been going down that path, and every time I open up their catalog, I see something new I want. And the VG10, which I first experienced through the Endura, just holds its edge for a long time. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with that before you even need to touch it up. And I find that just a very fine stone, a couple swipes across a fine stone will get it back to hair popping sharp. This knife I haven't touched up. That recurve is a little tricky with a flat stone. But like I said, I don't intend to use this for anything other than personal protection, God forbid. And if need be, it would suit my purposes very well. I do Kali, and this is perfect for Kali. It's thrust oriented, but man, look at all the slashing capability with that. Now, of course, I'm speaking hypothetically because it just doesn't happen. We do not have a lanyard hole, which is just fine. Of course, you have the lanyard hole and the sort of standard clip there. But it's fine, no lanyard hole. This would be absolutely goofy with a lanyard, I believe. I'm not a huge lanyard fan as it is. Every time I put one on a knife, I end up taking it off. Yeah, no lanyard hole. So if you're looking for that, I suppose you could do something drilling out the backspacer, and that would be an awful lot of trouble and would void your warranty. And, I'm not sure you would get the mileage out of it that you would be looking for all that work. On the blade, it has, of course, on the one side, the Spyderco logo. And then on the other side, it has the maker's mark, or designer's mark. You can see the grind lines, which to me is very, very attractive. It's cool to see the actual manufacturing history of a blade. Look at the curves of this. It's almost, it's almost erotic, and I don't mean to be creepy about it, but just this sort of look is just beautiful. You got the flats here, so if you have a clamp system, you could sharpen it pretty easily, locking onto the flats of the blade there. The jimping on the back of the handle, on the back of the blade on this thumb ramp is very nice. I think, one comes to expect that from Spyderco. It just grips just enough. It doesn't tear up your fingers. These are not canted in any particular direction. They catch in either direction. You've got a sort of integral finger guard here, stop you from sliding up on the blade if you're doing some thrusting. And of course, that recurve would be great for close cutting and for slashing. And I just find this a very appealing knife. I'll set it down like that for a minute. It reminds me a little bit of this kind of a blade, this sort of Filipino. This is called the Taliban, not to be mistaken for Taliban, and it's got a sort of, the blade sort of lurches forward. Actually, I should say gracefully leans forward to prematurely cut whatever you're going for. This particular specimen I bought at one of the old 6th Avenue flea markets in New York City. You could buy, that's where I purchased a number of my Filipino swords. I guess from returning GIs coming back from World War II, bringing these beautiful blades back. Very utilitarian, made from spring steel. You know, probably in someone's garage. It's pitted, and it looks like it received, got a lot of work. This is not the original handle, but it is old. Looks like it was a field knife and a fighting knife. And that's what this beautiful Ulize blade reminds me of. Maybe it's just because I am predisposed to be thinking about Filipino knives and Filipino martial arts. But then I guess there's a little irony that it's made in Japan, given the fact that the Japanese and the Filipinos fought viciously with blades in World War II. I would buy this again in a heartbeat. I just think it's beautiful. It fits the bill in terms of self-defense. You've got the full width of the blade to just about the tip, because of this hollow grind and the recurve kind of coming together. You cannot fling this thing open. You can encourage it with a little push and then a wrist snap, but this back lock is pretty stout, and the pivot pin is pretty. I've loosened it some, but that's really only affected how it comes back in the blade, in the handle. So this is not like a liner lock flingable blade, but this is not something I pull out to play with anyway. So there you have it, the Spyderco Ulize for 2013. A beautiful knife, beautifully crafted. Gives a little bit more reach than your average knife. It's a little bit longer than the military, and I would say a little more purpose-built. So yeah, I highly recommend you get one. Keep it in your waistband. Use your other utility knives for day-to-day, and just have this close by for those up-close encounters. All right, Knife Junkie out.